Howdy everybody, and welcome to another exciting edition of Stockshow Confidential. I'm Terry Jordan. You know, this week we're going to continue our tour right here at the Mile High City of Denver, Colorado. Now we're going to take you over and take you to an interesting part of any stock show throughout the country. We're talking about professional rodeo at its very best right here in Denver. You're going to meet some of the top cowboys and cowgirls in our game, as well as some of the royalty involved. And then we're going to get up close and personal with a good bullfighting friend of ours by the name of Wasey Munsell. You're not going to want to miss it. We'll be right back after these great messages from our sponsors. Stockshow Confidential is brought to you by the following sponsors: Sullivan Show Supply and Stockshow University, SureChamp, Showmaster Feeds, StockshowConfidential.com, Rogers Ford, and Paragon Bed Covers. Denver City was established in 1858 and was soon to become one of the country's largest mining towns. Denver, as we now know it, has been called the Queen City of the West because of its important role in the agricultural industry. Many cowboys and cowgirls have made the mountains and the pastures their home, and the National Western grew out of necessity for them to promote their livestock. In 1906, after years of deliberation, the Western Livestock Show started with one tent and 336 entries. Now, with over 15,000 head of livestock, the Denver National Western has grown to become one of the largest stock shows and rodeos anywhere in the country. The nation's top cowboys and cowgirls will go heads up in a variety of different events for bragging rights and some cold hard cash.
Yeah, there he is.
Bronc riding evolved from cowboys and ranchers breaking the horses back on the ranch.
Wow.
Now it's more than just the horses getting broke. You know, steer roping's always fun to watch, and when you see a header and a heeler come out in a fast slope and secure a steer very quickly, it's always fun to watch. The steer wrestling event, or bulldogging as they used to call it, was invented by Bill Pickett a number of years ago. Now, instead of a rope, they just use their hand. The National Western hosts a myriad of talents, and there's something for everyone in the entire family. From the best country and western music acts to the top rodeo performers in our game, there's something for everyone. You know, years ago I started my career as a bullfighter, and then I traded my baggy pants for a microphone because I found out that the rodeo announcers make just as much money and live a whole lot longer. But you know, American freestyle bullfighting is still in effect, and it's right here at the Denver National Western. Let's get up close and personal with our good friend, Wasey Munsell.
I'm third generation rodeo cowboy, born in Liberal, Kansas, and we moved quite a bit around the tri-state area. Dad had several jobs when as far back as I can remember, working at the feed yards as a night watchman, feed man, etc., etc. And when we moved to Ulysses, he got the ag teacher's position there at the high school, and he's been there almost 20 years. And he was my ag instructor from then on, and he's also a rodeo cowboy and a bullfighter, and hauled me around to the rodeos he was at, and I got to be lucky enough to attend the National FFA convention with him on numerous trips to Kansas City and when it moved to Louisville. I held 4 offices in high school. I was the Sentinel, Secretary, a Vice President, and a President. Being a Secretary that year, you know, you take good notes, you take good minutes from the meetings. We have production meetings here, and I keep close track of what's going to happen during the performance that evening. So you got to dang sure listen for, you know, what's happening. And being a vice president and a president, you're responsible for quite a few things, and I think that really helped in my career, making sure I contacted the people I needed to contact and, you know, getting business done with them. Did several different proficiency deals, win state with my proficiency award and raising bucking bulls. I started out in 4-H. I was in 4-H first year. I think I was a first grader and showed 2 hogs. Slowly progressed into doing very well at the county fair, and eventually we ended up taking a semi-load of hogs up here with the FFA, and I was the only 4-H'er to come up from Grant County, come up here and show, and won the best I ever did here. I was always top 10 with my hogs, and the best I done here was a whole out of reserve champion with a spotted gilt. Was one away from the sale. My dad and the FFA chapter produce an amateur bull riding at home, and we go out, we sell ads for that event. You know, we go out for a day, sell ads to the businesses. That teaches us responsibility, because when they say they're going to commit to being a sponsor, you need to make sure you get your money, or you're out that amount of money and you have to make it up.
Well, friends, it's that time again, time to go to commercial break and hear from some of our great sponsors. When we return, we're going to continue our conversation with one of the best bullfighters in the country, Wasey Munsell.
Sullivan Show Supply was established with the vision of producing more than just your ordinary show supply products. Whether it's fitting supplies you're looking for or the latest equipment, everything you need to make it into the winner's circle is right here. Don't just take it from me, take it from them. Sullivan Show Supply will be here before and after the sale.
Friends, welcome back to Stockshow Confidential. You know, we're going to continue our conversation with Wasey Munsell. We're going to talk about the early days. When he was involved in 4-H, his dad was an ag teacher, and, well, we're going to see why he chose this profession.
I'm Wasey Munsell, 2004, 2005, and 2006 World Champion Bullfighter. I really feel that being an FFA officer is a very good idea if you're an FFA member, because you can gather so many lifelong skills that you can get out of there without having to go to, pay for special classes or anything. You can get it right there in high school. I've been a bullfighter here at the National Western since 2006, so I think that's 7 years, I believe. The first year I come in for the first 2 years I came in for half the show. I split it with 2 other bullfighters and was a full-time bullfighter in 2008 till now. My first experience as a bullfighter, I was 4 years old in White Deer, Texas. Dad was working the rodeo there as a bullfighter and a comedian, and he asked if I wanted to go out and help with the calf riding. Oh yeah, I want to go out there and do that. And I didn't really know what I was doing. I was just out there doing what Dad told me and had a blast with it. As far as injuries go, I've been very, very blessed. I've not suffered near as many as what a lot of people would think come along with the job. 2 years ago this coming Saturday night, another bull had dropped a kid inside the spin, and I'd gotten in between him and the bull ended up running me down. And as I'm following and the kids are all running away, his spur happened to go through my cheek and knock out my tooth. Next thing I know, I'm looking at my shirt and there's blood running down it, and there's a puddle of blood on the ground. And I look up at one of my friends that was on the back of the bucking chutes, and I'm like, "Am I bleeding?" He's like, "Yeah." Oh, well, it's missing. And ended up getting 16 stitches and spent about 3 hours in the hospital waiting on them to stitch me up. And that one was probably the one that scared me the most, because it very well could have been my eye, could have hit me in the temple, and that's one that, whoa, somebody's dang sure looking out for you. I tell you, if a guy wanted to get into fighting bulls, for sure find a school, a good school. I mean, there's a lot of schools out there. Another thing I'd say is dang sure find somebody you want to pattern yourself after. Like my guys I watched outside of my dad was Rex Dunn, Rob Smets, Miles Hare, and Joe Baumgartner. I think dang sure, you find somebody that's a good role model too, because there's a lot of bad things out there that you need to stay away from. Great mentors.
Dr. Berryhill, the question this week on Stockshow Confidential comes from Dee Dee Arms out of Oklahoma. And she wants to know, you know, sometimes people have a tendency to try to self-medicate themselves and they go back to their vet box to see what kind of drugs might be in there. What should we avoid whenever we're out at some of these places and what not to take?
That is definitely a good question. It's easy, especially if you're out on a ranch or somewhere far away from a doctor, you just don't have the time to think, well, I got bute, I got metamine, I got penicillin. Surely I can treat myself with all those things. The truth of the matter is, and you knew I was going to say it, it's just not that good of an idea. Animals, tissues, blood supply, organs, they have much different sensitivity and tolerance to these drugs. They're formulated for these animals, they're not formulated for people. So, you know, it is a huge temptation to want to use animal drugs that you have just laying around versus taking the time to go to a doctor. But the truth of the matter is, it's just not worth the risk. People are so different. You know, all of our animals are different. Our pigs, our lambs, our cattle, our horses, they tolerate drugs differently, and people are just the same way. So everybody knows somebody who has done it, but we've seen the results of abscessed arms and people with ulcers and even kidney disease. And you know, sometimes if you give yourself just a prick of the wrong stuff, you're deader than a doornail, and it's just it's not worth the risk. I'm Dr. Emily Berryhill with Brock Vet Clinic in Lamesa, Texas. If you have any questions about this show or anything else we can help you with, please visit StockshowConfidential.com.
Feed the bugs. When you feed your cows, a well-functioning rumen with a healthy population of good bacteria and fungi is the foundation of a profitable cow herd. So how do you unlock the potential of the rumen? With Amifirm. Amifirm is a natural feed additive that fortifies products like VitaFirm and SureChamp. Best of all, research shows it actually increases beneficial bug populations by 15%. VitaFirm, SureChamp, and Amifirm. This stuff is good.
Howdy everybody, welcome to Stock Show Confidential. We're in the mile-high city of Denver, Colorado at the National Western Stock Show. Now along beside me, some pretty young ladies and an awful handsome young man, some of the top guys and gals within our industry. We're talking about some of the top in the FFA. And I've got Emily, Kyle, and Brittany here along with me. Now guys, tell me what you're doing here at the Stock Show.
At the Stock Show, we're here giving agricultural tours of the Stock Show Fairgrounds to show the general public what the Stock Show is here for, the animal industry, where their food comes from, etc. And we also are upstairs on the 3rd floor at the CSU Ag Adventure to help young students, encourage them to find out more about agriculture and learn more about what goes on here in Colorado and where their food comes from. So they know that a steak doesn't just show up in the grocery store, or milk doesn't just come in the jug. It has a process, and we really, really enjoy it, and it really enlightens people to our lives in the agricultural industry as a whole.
Well, Kyle, tell me how you got to the capacity that you're in right now as one of the state officers. What all does that entail?
Well, as a state officer, what we do here at the Stock Show, we direct the ag tours, of course, and we also manage the ranch land upstairs. So we're here for the entire Stock Show, 2.5 weeks, for about 12 hours a day. So it's a long process, but we really do enjoy it, and we take pride in what we do.
Now, Brittany, you told me just a moment ago you're fixing to take a little trip. Is that right? Tell me about that.
We're actually getting ready to go to Spain. We're heading overseas, and we get to explore their agricultural practices over there. We're really excited. We actually get to visit 70,000 acres under a greenhouse.
Wow.
Spain's all about trying to find more efficient energy uses, and so we're really excited to see that. Along with that, we also get to visit an olive orchard, and we get to visit an orange orchard to see their olive oil production as well as their orange production. So we're pretty excited about all that.
Well, and you know, as you go through high school and you start out, tell me exactly the steps that one of you took to get to your position that you're in now. I know you go from district to regional or area on to state.
So for an example, it was this situation, I'm sure, for all three of us. We all started off just as chapter members. We were just members, whether it was 7th or 8th grade or high school. We all started as members. And then after that, we all ran for our chapter office. Now you can run for a chapter office after your freshman year, so you get about 3 years of being a chapter officer. Once you're a junior or a sophomore or older, you can run for a district office, and all 3 of us ran for our district office, and I'm pretty sure all 3 of us were district presidents at one time. And then the June following graduation of our senior year, we actually ran for a state office. And it's just, you don't have to be a chapter or district officer, but it's just kind of taking your FFA involvement to the next level and just kind of upping your involvement, making a bigger impact in your state. And after that's actually your national office, and we do have the opportunity to run for our national office, where we'll actually represent FFA on a national level rather than just a statewide level.
That's going to be coming up in Indianapolis this next October.
Yes, sir.
Right. Well, you know, it takes me back to the time, even a long time ago, when I was in FFA. Didn't make it quite as far as these young folks did. I was a chapter officer, as well as made it all the way to area vice president. But whenever you get to this level, I'm telling you, you're talking about the elite of the elite in the FFA. I wish you continued success. Thank you so much for stopping and visiting with us.
Thank you guys so much.
All right.
Thank you.
Well, along beside me is a beautiful young lady that a while back had the prestigious honor of winning Miss Rodeo America. Now, this is Mackenzie Carr. Mackenzie, tell me a little bit about how you got involved as far as stock shows and rodeos and things.
Well, I grew up in the 4-H program. I spent 9 years in the horse end of it, and fell in love with the rodeo that was at my local fair, and kind of just things evolved from there, but my start was definitely within the fair and the 4-H.
Well, here today you were out with the steers here, but I also know something else very important is fixed to come up for you.
Yes, sir. At the end of the month, I will be in Nashville. I will be serving as the keynote speaker for the National Cattle Women's Association.
Well, friends, you know, whenever we talk about these pretty young ladies like this, and obviously it's not always just about rodeo. They get their start back in the 4-H horse program and a lot of the other programs. And for all you youngsters that are out there, if you have a dream, you can dream no bigger than being Miss Rodeo America. Mackenzie Carr.
You're watching Stockshow Confidential.
It's often said that great design takes something ordinary and turns it into something extraordinary. A Paragon truck bed cover is functional, tough, and visually appealing, all at the same time, and yet we haven't sacrificed a single detail in designing and making it.
You know, whenever we hit the trail to go to a major stock show, we trust everything that we own is protected by a Paragon bed cover. Be sure and check out StockshowConfidential.com. Now, if you have an interesting story, we'd like to hear about it. And also be sure and check out our Breeders' Corner. We have the top goat, pig, lamb, and steer breeders listed there. Check it out. Yeah, folks, with Stock Show Confidential, a big part of it is pro rodeo. We're inside the Coliseum right now. In just a moment, this thing is going to be alive with action as we watch some of these kids come in for the heifer wrangle. Now, these young people involved in 4-H and FFA are going to have the opportunity to catch a calf out in this arena. Now, if they do that, they'll get a $1,000 voucher where that they can come back and buy a heifer calf and return to the Denver State Fair and show that animal. You're not going to want to miss it.
Three, 2, 1, go!
I'm alongside Kevin Allman, and he is the chairman of the heifer wrangle here at the National Western. Now, Kevin, tell our viewers a little bit about how these kids get involved, how they get selected, and how many applicants that you had.
This year we had 21 applicants, and we select those kids by their applications, and we try to have as many as we can. We'd like to have about 32.
Okay, so those sponsors are paying for those kids that $1,000 voucher for them to be able to buy the calf of their choice.
Yeah, what they do is they donate that money to them. The student can go out and find the one that they want that'll fit their situation the best.
So then they will come back after they get these heifers at a young age, and they will bring them back and show them at the State Fair of Colorado, or the Colorado State Fair.
Yes, they should have when they go out to find these heifers, they should be 10 to 13 months old, and then they're going into a breeding program. They should be getting them bred early in the spring, and then showing them at their local fairs, and then going on to State Fair.
Now, tell me a little bit about your background, how you got involved here at the National Western.
Well, I'm an ag teacher in Grenada, Colorado, and the Fairs and Shows Committee for our Colorado Vocational Agriculture Teachers is just a part of what we do. And the heifer wrangle is just a part of all of the fairs and shows that we do and try to help throughout the state.
Well, these young kids, you know, I always tell everybody that I'd a whole lot rather see them rolling around in this stuff out here than what's out on the street.
Exactly.
Well, thanks for your time. I appreciate it.
Glad to do it.
Alongside Jared Chappelle, just one of the recent winners in the Sure Champ Catch-A-Calf contest. Jared, tell me how you got selected to get into the contest.
I wrote a nice letter through my school, and they sent it off. And like a couple weeks later, my teacher told me that I was selected.
Now, on the Catch-A-Calf contest, tell the folks a little bit about what you plan to do. You get a voucher.
Yeah, $1,000.
$1,000 voucher. And then what do you do with that?
With that calf, well, I was fortunate to get a sponsor. And with that voucher, I'm going to buy probably an Angus calf.
And you'll take him where?
To the county fair, or Colorado State Fair.
Colorado State Fair. Well, congratulations on your win. I know you're going to do well down there. And again, friend, it's being brought to you from our good friends at Sure Champ. Once again, friends, thanks for joining us on another edition of Stock Show Confidential. Next week, we're going to bring you right back to Denver, Colorado, and we're going to introduce you to a couple of interesting breeds of cattle, the Piedmontese and the Highland, and then we're going to round it out at the Sale of Champions. So until next time, here's hoping that we'll see you in the winner's circle.